So yesterday we had an amazing time at the Mardi Gras, right?
Yes, for sure.
Mardi Gras.
We had fun.
So living in Pensacola, Florida. I always thought that Mardi Gras was a New Orleans, Louisiana type of event until we moved out here, and then I recognized that they do it out here as well.
Yeah, and then I learned that they also do it in Gallup. They do it in Mobile, Alabama. Mobile, Alabama has a huge Mardi Gras thing, and Galveston is supposed to even like be a match or almost better than New Orleans. So, and then I guess San Diego also does it too. So I don't know why you don't know about
San
this.
Diego does Mardi Gras?
Yeah.
Must have missed that.
Yeah. So I guess it's a big deal, not only, but it seems like Ohio does it. It seems like most states, or I guess there are just major states somewhat in the South, I guess, that do it. They have a big celebration. You're not going to find this. I did not grow up with the concept of Mardi Gras. I knew that it exists, but I never understood.
Me neither. I think I thought it was southern, but I guess it's nationwide. Usually online here it says the Mardi Gras celebrations take place annually around the world. By far, it's the best known. The best known is in New Orleans, but the celebrations kick off on the 6th of January, but majority of events take place in the 2 weeks leading up to Shrove Tuesday.
So, well, Fat Tuesday is supposed to be, it's the Saturday before Fat Tuesday is supposed to be like the biggest, like the send-off, I guess. The grand finale of the season, and because supposedly, like in the Catholic religion, everyone's supposed to be starting Lent. I think on Fat Tuesday or the day after that. I don't know how it works.
It falls on 21st February. The date varies from year to year, but it depends on
so this
when.
year is the 20th.
Yeah, 21st. But it depends on when Easter is celebrated, which in turn establishes the beginning of Christian observance of Lent.
Yeah. So given that everyone in this religion is supposed to observe some sort of fast for 40 days, is it?
Yeah, it's a 40-day period when Christians give up any chosen luxury, and then the fast at midnight of Ash Wednesday, the day after the Shrove or Fat.
Right. So basically the idea is that the whole Mardi Gras season is like, the way I understand it, it's just you getting all the, all your bad habits and the partying and the all the purging and the drinking and the craziness out of your system, because for 40 days you can't do any of that. So do as much as you possibly can, I guess. And this actually stems from, what was it? The spring equinox and paganism?
It basically says that
where does it originally come from?
In order to avoid temptation prior to this solemn remembrance of Jesus Christ's 40 days spent in the desert fasting and enduring temptation by Satan. So cupboards are emptied of fatty delectables, and people indulge themselves with feasting and revel.
Because you can't.
So after Tuesday, you can't. You go into a period of 40-day fast. And prior to that, you indulge
as much as you possibly can, more than usual during the Mardi Gras season.
That just seems sick. Sounds sick.
It does. What in the world? If you allow yourself to indulge as much as you can prior to that, I feel like that defeats the purpose of the fast.
Sorry.
But anyway, even going back further than that, like it's like even before Christianity, this celebration I think was still going on around this time, but it had a different purpose.
So I just typed on Google what is the true origin of Mardi Gras. One is that Mardi Gras and Carnival are same celebrations. Though Mardi Gras technically refers only to Fat Tuesday, the Mardi Gras season actually begins on Epiphany, a Christian holiday that's celebrated on January 6th, and goes on to say that as Three Kings Day or the 12th day of Christmas, in Brazil and many other countries, this period between Epiphany and Fat Tuesday is known as the Carnival, which, whichever name you use, it's the same thing. When Ash Wednesday ushers in 40 days of Lent. It may or may not have pagan roots. A popular theory holds that Mardi Gras origins lie in ancient pagan celebrations of spring and fertility.
Yeah, that's what I've learned from a lot of
words like Saturnalia and Lupercalia. Some experts contend, however, that Mardi Gras-type festivities popped up solely as a result of the Catholic Church's discouragement of sex and meat during Lent. Church reformers may have helped to propagate the pagan rumors, and experts say in the hope of dissuading pre-Lent hedonism. In 1872, the crew of Rex. Oh, there was a floaty that had crew of Rex written on it. I didn't understand what it meant.
Oh, okay.
The crew of Rex and the Knights of Momus began paying for parades and balls of their own. They were followed a decade later by the crew of Proteus. Since these early societies were exclusively male and white, women and black residents formed their own groups, such as Les Misteriuses and Zulu.
Oh.
Zulu Social Aid and Pressure Club.
Okay, because I saw there were some floaties about mysteriousness.
Mysteriuses.
I remember there was like mafia mysteries, and then there was like some other kind of mystery group that was out there.
Well,
and there were a bunch of old white women partying it up. So.
Well, I guess this explains why a lot of the floaties were strictly white people, because back then it was strictly male and white. But then the women and black residents, they formed their own group.
That's why you see the differences, because the ones that had dudes, they were like, okay, there were a couple floats that I saw with just guys. Those floats were not creative at all. First of all, it was like, we just got a boat and we're all gonna stand on it. Yeah. And like drink beer. And then like the other floaties, the really creative ones were either done by like that group of old black guys.
The dope.
The African Kings one. That one was good. And then there were a bunch of old white lady floats. They're actually pretty creative.
Well, dozens of crews of all types have proliferated since then, including the science fiction themed intergalactic crew of Chewbacca's, whose name is a hip hybrid of Star Wars character and the Roman god of wine. Despite being less than 3 years old, this crew convinced some actor to play Chewbacca in the movies, to ride in its parade last month, blah, 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 blah. I don't care about that.
You know what's crazy is I keep seeing crew Chewbacca. Like when I was looking at the parade schedules, especially for New Orleans, I was seeing this is starting to come together.
Yeah. King cake is only eaten during Mardi Gras. It's available only during the Mardi Gras season. King cake is typically made with brioche dough and braided and laced with cinnamon. The dough is then glazed with purple, green, and gold sugar or covered in icing in those same Mardi Gras colors. Mm-hmm. What really sets king cake apart from those other desserts, however, is the small plastic baby hidden inside. Whoever finds the baby in his or her slice must buy the next cake or perhaps post the next part.
I don't know if I like
That's messed up.
I don't know if I like weird.
See, this is the thing about these events.
Those
some of these
like there's weird hidden meanings.
A lot of these events have very occult meaning, and most of us don't know what they mean. We just participate in them because everybody else.
And we're just going, this is just a fun tradition. We like to do it.
The idea of eating a cake that a baby's hidden inside of it is troubling if you actually stop and think about it. Makes me even more curious. Now I want to learn more. What is the meaning behind the baby inside king cake?
It's not about the next guy gets to buy the next cake.
Yeah, that's stupid.
Come on, that sounds silly. Luck and prosperity?
Okay, so the first thing that Google pops up here is tradition dictates that finding the baby in your cake symbolizes luck and prosperity, and the finder becomes the king or queen of the evening. What does a baby in your cake have to do with luck and prosperity? I don't agree.
I
must
like
dig deeper.
It goes into something else, but
Say whatever you want.
I don't know.
Okay, so why is there a baby in the king cake? Manny Randazzo's king cakes are famous throughout South Louisiana. Everyone in the New Orleans area lines up during Mardi Gras season to get their king cakes. Nothing beats. Okay, so it says that the rise of Christianity in Rome brought along many new traditions, especially when it came to the king cake. Before the spread of Christianity, ancient Romans placed a fava bean inside their cakes for the Saturnalia festival, a celebration of the god of the harvest. Now we use a baby to symbolize the baby Jesus. Once Christianity spread across Rome and Europe, Saturnalia became what we now call Mardi Gras. It is also known as the Day of the Epiphany. On this night, the three wise men traveled to Bethlehem to offer gifts to baby Jesus. We include a baby inside the king cakes to celebrate the birth of Christ. And finding the baby inside the king cake comes with some responsibilities. If you are so lucky to find the baby, you will be responsible for hosting the next Mardi Gras celebration and providing the next king cake.
But if Mardi Gras is supposed to be about like coming close to the point of where Jesus took off for 40-day fast?
Why are we finding his baby inside the cave?
Yeah, why
No,
is
go
it
ahead,
suddenly
finish up.
about this baby? About when he was a baby in Three Kings. So now we're switching the story. We're putting random different elements of the same dude, and we're just like, you know, we want an excuse to have this fun thing, so we're just gonna say, how do we make it Jesus-y?
Let's just
Baby.
baby
Jesus
inside
was-
cake. Baby Jesus in
Baby
the cake.
Jesus. That works.
See, not exactly. When you start reading into this history, it forces you to think and start questioning these assumptions.
Yeah.
You're right. How can it be that the whole idea of Mardi Gras is to celebrate before the period of Lent when we go into fast, when Jesus goes out into the desert to fast for 40 days and 40 nights. But then
we also
during the
give out
celebration,
cake.
we give out cakes where you find the baby of baby Jesus inside the cake. Seems rather odd. Seems like it doesn't make sense. We must keep diving deeper.
Yeah, there has to be. I feel like they were just, when they were coming up with these traditions, or the purpose for the traditions to make them Christian-y, I feel like they probably were already doing this, but it had a totally different meaning, and I just feel like they're just, let's give them a Christian purpose so that we can continue doing it.
Yeah, seems odd.
It just doesn't seem like it makes any sense.
I'm gonna actually type controversial stuff because I find out that Google is so scrubbed to give you
The mainstream stuff?
the mainstream
What
narrative.
we're supposed to believe.
Right. It's like I want to hear what's controversial about it. So what is the controversial take? So what is the controversial meaning of Mardi Gras? And the first website here says Unmasking Mardi Gras, Carnival of Hate.
What?
This one sounds interesting. The summit of New Orleans social calendar is an annual celebration replete with lavish gala, masquerade balls, bead throwing, intricate costumes, rampant alcohol consumption, and the occasional lurid act. These are unretractable components of the season that honor its name, Carnival. Each season, the peculiar enterprise of Carnival masked riders tossing beads to silhouetted strangers. It draws thousands of spectators from outside the state who are eager to get a glimpse of the fanciful world constructed by papier-mâché. I don't know what that means. On the surface, it seems that Mardi Gras is clad in the purest egalitarian ideals. The social hierarchies dividing people into separate classes are suspended until the celebration has run its course, allowing people of all walks of life to participate in the festivities together. But appearances are often misleading, of course they are. And so too with Mardi Gras. Like most artifacts in the antebellum South, embedded deep within Mardi Gras is the heritage of hate, rooted in racial discrimination. Well, this article seems like it's taking a racial slant, so. Charges of racism have plagued New Orleans' celebration of Mardi Gras since its inception in the 1850s, when the first parading organization, the Mystic Crew of Commerce, was established. This trend continued to dog the celebration into the present, as parading organizations, old and new, have faced criticisms over practices and traditions which some have deemed racist. Even Zulu, a predominantly black parading organization whose official name is the Zulu Social Aid and Pleasure Club, has not been spared from such attacks, as critics have labeled the organization's traditions that members don blackface paint while parading, an act that is meant to honor the legacy of the historic Zulu warrior as blackface. There's been accusations of racism, and goes on to say that the near-infant crew of Knicks, for instance, faced public backlash in 2020 after the crew's founder and captain posted what some viewed as a controversial, tone-deaf statement on its social media page amidst the social unrest that broke out over the past summer. Okay, this article is just talking about the racist part of it, and it says the official end of Mardi Gras hinges on the meeting of the courts of Rex and Comus, during which the king of the former crew travels to the ball held in the honor of the king of the latter non-parading organization. In order to expunge the stain of discrimination and classism in Mardi Gras, which Comus personifies, this tradition should be done away with. Rex, that is, should be honored for doing what Comus refused to do, desegregate and welcome diverse members into its ranks. After all, it is now Rex, as the king of the crew is called, who is the final carnival monarch, to be toasted by the mayor of New Orleans each Mardi Gras from the steps of Gallia Hall, a historic Greek-inspired building that once served as New Orleans City Hall, and who alone is referred to as King of Carnival. Retiring the meeting of Rex and Comus will help sever Comus' remaining privileges, and in so doing, put an end to the visible remnants of Carnival's hate-filled past. Mardi Gras is a tradition almost as old as the state in which it is cradled. In the near 2 centuries that New Orleanians have indulged in carnivalized extravagance, the annual celebration continues to serve as a reminder that the future of an institution need not conform to its past. In reducing all classes to the same level during the season, albeit for a brief time, Carnival has endangered the gradual erosion of social hierarchies in New Orleans, or at least their physical representations. Similar to the humbling, fraternal attitude that Hurricane Katrina induced in the local population due to having common experiences amidst the chaos that ensued, Mardi Gras reminds locals that whether one was raised in the Ninth Ward or in the Garden District, all have a common claim to the cultural heritage of New Orleans and sharing an obligation to protect it with vigor and resolve. What do you think?
There's just a lot. So yeah, I didn't realize there was there were just so much politics with. But I guess it's gonna turn in. I mean, for something that has like a lot of deep roots and a tradition like that, I guess it would. It's obvious that it's gonna be.
It will be, and this is very unique to New Orleans area. Just like everything in New Orleans is deeply politicized. There's this obvious separation between the black and the white resident. Even the way the city shares its resources, the way it's being developed, the way people interact. There's these clusters of white and black people, and I don't see any reason why that wouldn't affect Mardi Gras as well, a deep culture. But I was hoping to see an explanation that goes deeper than the American content.
Right. Yeah, I was hoping to see something deeper, way deeper than the American context or deeper than the current religious beliefs about this day. I would really, I'm more interested in the symbolism of the deeply rooted things that still do with Mardi Gras, like the baby or the fava bean and the cake, and why the cake, and then the bead, just things like that. Really, but yeah. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that there are so many issues going on with Mardi Gras in New Orleans, because it seems like everything in New Orleans is just, there's a lot of dysfunction. We've lived there.
Yeah.
We've experienced it. There was an obvious separation. There's obvious systemic racism that it's insane. And the thing is, I never heard about this until I experienced it firsthand. And then it's crazy. But the people who are still there, I don't even think they really realize what they're.
Yeah, that's the other thing that, I know this is kind of veering off the topic.
Yeah.
We traveled and we stayed in New Orleans. And in that period of time that we were there, this was December 2020.
Yeah, and part of
January of 2023, you get this sense of a divided society, a society that more focused on policing, extracting resources from its citizens and not giving back, a government that doesn't really care about its people, people divided among themselves. There seemed to be like this inward fighting. People didn't get along. They didn't smile at each other.
It's like the most intense version of crabs in a bucket.
Yes, it's so obvious. As from people who are visiting, and especially coming from California,
and Florida. Going from Florida.
Florida is a bit decent, huh?
Florida is so happy.
No, I wouldn't say so.
I would say so happy. I would say it's happier than California.
Anyway,
I lived in California my whole life.
New Orleans. Can you imagine how it's been years ago if it still looks like that? Yeah. The roads were terrible. The city taxes were ridiculous, and you could tell that they were not reinvesting the money back. There were homeless people everywhere.
And taxes are so high too. They're higher than they are in Florida.
Yeah, they're extracting taxes. Every corner that you go, the city has its hand out taking money.
Even stupid things like, going to any like place downtown, you have to fight for street parking, or you have to pay for $50 day park in a private parking lot, which always gets robbed.
Yeah. Oh, let's not even talk about the crime.
You pay for this $50 parking, and more than likely, you're still going to get robbed.
While we were there were gun shootings in broad daylight.
Yeah, there were gun shootings in broad daylight. Every other day, there was another major shooting that everyone's talking about.
And then there was a story about people who boarded a Carnival cruise and came back and all their cars were broken into. In the parking lot of Carnival, it's not like they parked somewhere else. They parked in the most safest place they could have. and their cars were broken into, and the people in charge took no responsibility for it. That has to be the height of dysfunction that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
In a civilized society where people pay tax. The quality of food was terrible. The quality of service was terrible. Most of the workers were underpaid and just didn't smile.
I mean, you go to any grocery store and the workers hate they go out of their way to make your shopping very difficult. Like, they actually try to not help you find the things you're looking for. I have so many Walmart stories. It is wild.
But this is not something that, I feel, obviously I have empathy for the people because they're just living in a very difficult situation. And I think that human beings are a reflection of their environment.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wish them well. I really hope that at some point in the future that New Orleans makes a turn for the better. But it was a sad sight to see.
Oh, that was hard.
It was a sad sight to see. But anyway, going back to Mardi Gras, right? I really want to dig deep and find some true history about this stuff, but it's hard to do that with Google. Google has scrubbed everything.
You have to go to the fifth or and forward the fifth page of Google at least, or past that, to get real information, I think.
Yeah.
Because everything on the first few pages is all what's collectively accepted. As you would say, it's woke.
Woke left definitions of these things, because there's no way Mardi Gras, a historical event dating back centuries, will just be about tossing beads and drinking beer. And
baby Jesus, 3 kings, and that's pretty much it.
And it's replete with symbols. The entire thing has symbols.
Yeah.
Beads. Let's start. What does that even mean? Why beads? That's the obvious question to me. And everyone's like, it's just beads.
It's beads. We're having fun. Just collect the beads. Shut up and collect the beads.
Shut up and collect the beads. No, I want to know more.
Shut up and take your beads. Here's some more beads.
What is the truth? We will never know.
It almost seems like the whole point of going to the parade is to collect as many beads as you can. That's what almost everyone was doing. People were walking away from it when the parade was over, and everyone had like tons of pounds just of beads on their neck. There was this one old lady, she looked like she was at least 100 and she was in a wheelchair, and she had beads all over, this thick, just covered, and she, her stare was like she wasn't even there, but the beads mattered.
Those beads are important, bro.
Those beads were so important.
And then just to get home and toss them in the trash, because you're not really going to do much with them.
I don't know which. It just seems like a waste, and then they end up in a landfill.
Right?
Or I guess the best you can do is recycle and use them for next year and start throwing them at people. But then it takes up space in your home. You have to wait an entire year.
Well, everything I keep finding keeps going back to this European Christians celebrating Saturnalia and Lupercalia. It's a way to mark the beginning of Lent and to prepare for fasting period of Easter. Saturnalia and Lupercalia.
Saturnalia, isn't that Saturn? Isn't that Baal worship?
Well, let's go there and see what history. Saturnalia, held in mid-December, is an ancient Roman pagan festival honoring the agricultural god Saturn because of when the holiday occurred, near the winter solstice. Saturnalia celebrations are the source of many of the traditions that we now associate with Christmas, such as wreaths, candles, feasting, and gift giving. The most popular holiday on the ancient Roman calendar is derived from older farming rituals of midwinter and winter solstice, especially the practice of offering gifts or sacrifices to gods during the winter. The pagan celebration of Saturn, the Roman god of agriculture and time, began as a single day, but by the late Republic, 133 to 31 BC, it had expanded to a week-long festival beginning on December 17. That's all we know about Saturnalia. At least that's what History.com wants us to know about Saturn. Well, I don't know if we're really ever going to come down to the truth of it, because history is only told by people in charge
who want you to know what they want you to know.
Precisely. So if that's the case, then all we have to go by is just to keep an open mind and challenge assumptions and seek to know more, which is what we're trying to do today. Challenge some of the beliefs that are commonly accepted and practiced. Find out why. Does it align with your own true belief? Does it align? If it doesn't align, then you really don't have to practice it with everybody.
Yeah.
You know, if it doesn't hurt, if there's no, you know, if it doesn't hurt you, then there's nothing wrong with it. But if deep down the philosophy behind a certain celebration or practice is bad, or if you're worshiping a god that you don't believe in, then it may be time to ditch some of those practices. Okay. How many countries celebrated Mardi Gras? The Economist Mardi Gras is celebrated in more than 50 countries.
Wow.
According to the Economist, including Europe, North America, South America, Asia, and Africa. While the celebrations vary from place to place, they all feature a hedonistic combination of indulgent feasting and debauchery, revelry, tinged with a dash of religion. Goodness gracious.
Goodness.
At least they're not lying about the debauchery and the.
Yeah, they're like, no, we do debauchery.
Yeah,
That's what this day is
It's all
about. We're all
hedonism.
supposed to do it.
Get naked, drink, and wild out, and feast until you're fat.
Fat Tuesday.
What is wrong with humans that we have to make out a period a week when we go there?
We have to have an entire 6 weeks of going there.
Everything bad that you can imagine that you shouldn't do, we're going to do it in this particular week.
And they made it a community activity. Like, bring the kids.
Everybody, we're
Debauchery for everyone.
debauchery for everyone. Hedonism for everyone. Let's go.
I mean, you must bring the kids because they need to know how to do this too.
Absolutely. It's a tradition. We pass it on. It's also interesting how we pick and choose what we decide to judge. Okay? Mardi Gras, at the roots of it, is clearly a practice of hedonism and debauch and overeating and overdrinking.
But we wanted to tie it to religion, so it's okay.
So we all accept it.
So that we can accept.
But, God forbid, someone did, let's see, what are the most recent outrages that, like, people want to shut down? If one individual, for instance, challenges an assumption, comes on national TV and says, hey, there are these people who control everything and they run our lives. Can we, like, question them?
Or like when all this stuff came out about, like, on Twitter about Pfizer, and then that happened, and then everyone was like, can't trust, that's fine.
Yeah, let's kill the messenger. Let's not talk about what the messenger is talking about.
Everyone's already moved on. Now I'm talking about
No, we moved on.
It's done. I thought that was gonna, like, break down the whole thing, and everyone's like, what the heck? No more boosters for anyone. And then you watch the Grammys or whatever just happened, and they're like, let's all get boosted. The celebrities are like, I have to protect my health, and they're all advertising.
Because at the end of the day, money is at the root. Money trumps everything. This is a world of materialism. And once anyone, the guy with the deepest pocket, the guy who pays the most, sets the rule. That entire show was sponsored by Pfizer, okay? And so they make the rule. It doesn't matter that there's negative news about them. There's controversy surrounding their practice. We just got through a pandemic that people are starting to question some of the rules that, you know, we were forced to endure. We are not allowed to debate that. We're not allowed to be able to critically think. Throw away your critical thinking hat, line up with everyone else, and shut up and be a sheep.
So this is part of it. It's like, line up with everyone else, do the community activity of debauchery, and don't question it. It's Christianity. It's the good religion. We're Americans, so we're supposed to do it. It's good for you. And then you're supposed to accept it, but also maybe we should follow the money on this. Like, who's actually around the market?
That's a good point. Where's the money flowing? They always say follow the money. That's a good point. But, well, it's businesses. It's the corporations that are renting out those floaties, the beer, the ones selling beer and wine and spirits. The
beads
the
companies.
Ones making the beads. I need to get into bead making companies.
Right?
Like, seriously, these guys are printing money.
Supply the world's supply of beads. Should just be shipping international to all the continents.
I've always had known that whatever celebration that's baked into our culture, there's a long string. There's a long string to some corporations' business security. Like, that's their business model.
They rely on that.
And so it's like, because part of becoming a business that last generation is creating a moat. What we call a moat. A moat is, it's like back in the day, in the ancient ages, when they built those castles and they built the moat so that intruders wouldn't be able to break in or cut across, and as soon as they tried to break in, they lifted the moat and they couldn't get across, right? So essentially, like Google dominates search by, I'm talking about miles. I don't even think there's any other company that they've been doing it for years. So they essentially just print money. And so every other company that wants to survive for generations, they have to create this thing where no other competition can even keep up. And part of it is creating the demand and baking it into culture.
Yeah.
Like we know that Coca-Cola is behind like a lot of the Christmas celebration. Pepsi, they make these really beautiful commercials towards the end of the year and they make us feel good. So hence you forget what you're
Crazy.
drinking.
Coke is like, we invented Santa.
They invented Santa, okay?
Or whatever.
We also, then now we're talking about Mardi Gras. You start follow the line, follow the trail of money, and you can see, wait, there are corporations that literally print money every time we celebrate Mardi Gras. And so if it's part of our culture, that means that they're never going to go out of business.
Right.
They don't even have to try. So anyway, I don't think that this is a rant about trying to be the Debbie Downer, like they say.
We're just
angry. Just challenging people to think
Yeah.
and question some of the traditions that people become accustomed to follow.
Mhm.
What does it mean? Why are you doing it? Should you be doing it?
Well, are you saying that so next year, are you going to be like, let's do Mardi Gras again? Or are you going to be like, no, I don't worship Santa?
I would want to continue with festivities, but I want to define it in my own terms. You know, it's just like how people, instead of saying...
Separate yourself from the activities, or the meaning of the activities and the debauchery. Kind of
do your own thing.
Be there.
Like Valentine's, instead of calling
Like
it
an
Valentine's
observer.
Day, you call it Lover's Day. You know, because I don't believe in St. Valentine.
I
But
don't even think you need to label it. Like, you can just
it's
be
just
there.
Lover's Day. We're hanging out. We're having a good time. Or Halloween. Instead of calling it Halloween, we call it Costumes Day or whatever they call it, where you just actually just wear different costumes and celebrate that. So I think that we can rebrand the event, because if you try to just isolate yourself and say, no, I'm not going to party, then, you know.
Then it's like, what do? You build yourself a little bunker to last you the evening or the day or the month until the whole thing is over, and then you go back to society.
Yeah, it's depressing to be the one who's not partying with everybody else. But I think if you rebrand it, like next year, I would want to rebrand Mardi Gras and call it something more holistic, something more regenerative, that makes us, that gives back to us. Instead of indulging in beer and throwing beets, whatever that means, you can indulge in eating celery and broccoli and asparagus.
We could just give ourselves a nice day.
That too.
I mean, we didn't indulge in debauchery necessarily. We walked downtown, and we got to walk through the parade, and then after that we got coffee, and then we went to a buffet. Is that debauchery?
No, actually,
I think that's
wholesome.
a nice, wholesome family fun, right?
Yeah.
So we can just do things our own way. I mean, if there's something fun going on in the community, we can definitely participate to whatever level we're comfortable with.
Right.
And then other than that, we can just be out doing our own thing, as long as it's, special for us. I guess that's...
Cheers to that, baby. Where's your wine?
Cheers. And then I will go